Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be covering one of my favorite monsters to throw at my players. Everyone's favorite little reptilian boy, the Kobold. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to run Kobolds in an encounter. Now tell me you don't want to cuddle up with these slimy little reptilian boys here. They're so cute. I think Kobolds are one of the most interesting creatures that you can play as a game master. This is because they can create silly yet challenging adventures for your party. Kobolds are a small reptilian humanoid race that believe themselves to be descended from dragons. Kobolds are so proud of their proposed heritage, yet others don't believe it to be true. Kobolds have dark vision and proficiency in crafting traps. Here's a few traps that you can set up within the encounter to throw at the players. One of the traps you can use is a pit trap, where it's a hole dug and there's a bunch of spikes down at the end of the trap, and the players walk over it and they fall into the spikes. Another trap that you can use is a spike trap, where there's small holes that are dug in the ground and there's a pressure plate or some kind of tripwire that the players activate that has these spikes come up from the ground and stab the players. Or you can use a poison trap, which is a spike or a blade that cuts the players and it's been laced with a poison. Or there's a tripwire mechanism that goes off that pushes poison gas into the player's area. Or you can use a net trap, which traps the players in a big net hanging up in the air where a bunch of kobolds stab them with sticks. Or you can set up alarm traps. These are small little noise makers for the kobolds to let them know when somebody's entered their cave. When you're setting up the encounter, make sure that you give your kobolds at least one melee weapon. Kobolds tend to use spears, short swords, daggers, light picks, something of that sort. Make sure they have at least one ranged weapon as well, like a sling, a crossbow, a dagger, or a spear. Kobolds also have sneak attack. This gives them an extra damage die for attacks. For some kobolds, it could be a D4, and for some others, it could be a D6. It's up to you at the end of the day, though. Most kobolds have hurried retreat. This is a one action that gives the kobold, which is next to another kobold, a +5 status foot bonus to their speed, and it also gives them a +2 to AC against attacks that were made as a reaction. Basically, if your fighter uses an attack of opportunity, they get a +2 to AC, more likely to miss. The downside though is they can't end their movement next to an enemy. So they have to be near an ally or end it in the open. But basically it's just to try and get away from an enemy, and so the enemy doesn't have attack of opportunity against them. Very useful to you. Now, there are some kobolds that have magic abilities, and these little draconic boys are called kobold dragon mages. These little guys can change an easy encounter to a hard encounter real quick. These dragon mages could use Tanglefoot to immobilize a target and ambush them with other kobolds. They could also use Electric Arc, which can target 2 enemies and deal damage to them. They also have the ability to cast Fear and Magic Missile, 2 very potent spells. And as a 3 action, they also have the ability to use Illusionary Retreat. Once per hour, if the mage is next to an enemy, they can create an illusionary copy of themselves and turn invisible. This invisibility counts as a 2nd level invisibility spell and lasts for 1d4 rounds. The mage can also move half their speed while invisible, but they cannot end their turn next to an adjacent enemy. At the end of the day, what this all means is the best strategy of running kobolds is to try and set up a bunch of traps in the cave or tunnel or anywhere that they're at. Just set up a bunch of traps wherever you are, and try and make it so your players either have to go through the trap or disarm it. Once the players have gone through the traps or disarmed them, whichever one it is, then you want to have a bunch of kobolds go against them in full force. Just a bunch all at once. If there's ever kobolds that get separated from the group, have them retreat or beg for their life, or just have them go full suicide, run at the enemies and die. It's pretty much 3 options you get. However, at the end of the day, you can make them do whatever you want. You could have them be good little boys that want to join the party and fight with them. You do whatever. I love adding kobolds into an encounter. I love making friendly ones versus the evil ones, but the evil ones are just as funny because they can be very chaotic while the players are going against them. I hope y'all enjoy me ranting about my favorite little reptilian boys. These are just the basics on how to run kobolds in an encounter. If y'all enjoyed this kind of content, feel free to leave a comment down below. Tell me what kind of encounter you would run with these kobolds. I'd love to hear some of the crazy ideas that y'all can come up with. Feel free to check out my other videos and keep an open eye out for future videos that I'll be posting. Until then, keep on rolling.